da right, Chavre, Bruchim Abayim, Bruchot Abaot. Welcome everybody. A good Chodesh to everyone. L'chaim. Chaim Tov L'Shalom. I want to first and foremost thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the schus of being together, starting the march towards the Melech, starting the march towards Avo El HaMelech. Uvechein Avo El HaMelech. This march, some say, starts in Slichas towards Avo El HaMelech. We know for Tavshin Pei Dalet it already starts now. Rosh Chodesh Adar, Uvechein Avo El HaMelech. We're all coming towards the King together for a Kimu v'Kiblu like the world has never seen before, that we've never seen before. And it's amazing how Hashem Yisborach knows exactly what everyone needs at every given moment. Be'ito, ata nosen le'emes ochlam be'ito. I saw a voice once, I forget, Rav Yaakov Meir Shechter brought it down. I think in the name of Rabbi Yitzchak Breiter, he says, Ein echol elecha yisabeiru. So he says, I just remember this right now. He says, everyone's eyes to Hashem Yisaberu, he changes the sin to the Samech. Ein echol elecha Yisaberu. Each one comes to Hashem Yisbarach with a svara, how the world should be handled. And Hashem says, Shkoyach, thank you very much. At the end, we have all these ideas of how things should be and what shouldn't be, and at the end, at the end, it's really in the beginning, but from our perception, at the end, it works out the way it does. But really, this is like a very, very special way that we, how did we know just last week or 2 weeks ago how we would come into Rosh Chodesh Adar? We didn't know. So I want to give a tremendous Shavach V'Odah to my brother-in-law, to Yehuda Leib, for Be'etzem really being the Shadchan for this evening. And I know he physically lives in Tekoa. Physically. I know, there's Rebbitzins in the room. Don't start. Don't start. But to Yehuda Leib, you and Tanya and everyone should be filled, the whole mishpacha, with what I know you guys want more than anything in the world, and that's Dveikus B'Hashem. We all see it. We all want it more when we're around you guys. It should come back to you a million times over. I also want to thank. You have the name. I want to thank the sponsor for tonight, Rabbi Yisrael ben Reb Chaim Shlomo, whose yortzeit is tonight. Maybe we'll hear about him maybe a little bit later. And to just mekabel bivracha, Rabbi Rubenstein, his Rebbitzin, his son. Any other family members here from that? Thank you. Rabbi Rubenstein, who is playing such a critical role in many people's lives, both in person in New York, and because of the gift that we have of technology today, many people miyam liyam, from ocean to ocean, and I'm not gonna be that person that says miktsas shvachel. I'm not even saying miktsas because I'm not even in a place to say anything. All I could personally feel is that the little bit of Torah that until now I've been zocheh to taste from this ma'ayan makes me so excited for Am Yisrael. It makes me feel so much more secure about where we're at and where we're heading. And B'Shem Kulam, we want to thank you so much for coming out and being with us tonight, and thank the Rebbetzin, and thank you so much. Mamash, just thank you for it, and thank you for being an inspiration to many of us. And Rabbi Rubenstein is a Rebbe and a Mashpia at headquarters East, I guess we would call it, at the Captain, by the headquarters of by Rabbi Moshe Weinberger Shlita. Hashem should give him many, 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 many more years of good health, Bezrat Hashem, and Simcha and Koyach, Kochos Ilayim, that we just discussed, to keep on going forward. And all of us, as I'm just quoting the way he ends every single time Rebbe speaks, all of us should be together here, be Yerushalayim HaKodesh, I'll be as Gil Tzedek. That's right. Just quoting him. I'm not, there's no trips or anything. I'm quoting him. Panim el Panim, Be'ezer Hashem. So Rav Rubenstein, B'chavod Rav, thank you so much.
Shlomo and the whole chaver here. You know, we say in Tehillim David HaMelech, speaking about Shiras David, Hinesh manua be'afrasa, metzanua b'stei yoar. And I can say, Hinesh manua be'afrasa, that I heard from a distance what was going on in Efrat, shmanua be'afrasa. But mitzanua, but to come and to see for myself, have a little taste, to spend some time with the Rav Shlita, who he mentioned the connection to Rosh Chodesh and to Rav Weinberger, and I think just from listening just to the few short words, I could see Baruch Hashem the gift that he has in reaching so many people. I think I can hear in his words and the whole delivery and the Amkas Halev so much of the Rav Shlita, Rav Weinberger back in Woodmere, New York. Mitzanua b'stei yoar. David HaMelech was looking for the Makom L'Hashem. In Emsa Makom L'Hashem, Mishkanas L'Avir Yaakov, he nishmanua be'afrasa. Almost like a Havamina in Ephras. But Mitzanua b'stei yoar, but I found it in a stei yoar in Yerushalayim. So parenthetically, b'stei yoar is Gematria Yerushalayim. But this Havamina, this connection between Shmanua be'afrasa and Mitzanua b'stei yoar, like Rav Shlomo just said, like Rav Weinberger always ends, Yerushalayim, everybody together. There's this Gzeira Shava between Ephras and Yerushalayim. I just spent, Baruch Hashem, the past few days in Yerushalayim, and coming to Ephrat, I feel like this is a hemshech. It's an or makif of Yerushalayim HaKodesh to see and to hear what's going on over here. Ashreichem. That you have a Rav who's leading with such siyata d'shmai and such a brilliant kaiches, Baruch Hashem, and all of you together who are building this Makom Torah, this Makom Tefillah, l'shem l'tifres b'Yisrael, Hashem should be mezakir to continue b'avodas HaKodesh mitach simcha mitach nachas.
Amen. Amen.
So we're finally here, Mishnechnas Adar Marbe B'Simcha. It's so good to be out of the darker months and to enter into the world of Adar, which is going to be shlav achar shlav until we come to Sinai, Matan Torah, the beginning of Chodesh Sivan. Try to understand a little bit this inyan, the Mishnechnas Adar Marbe B'Simcha. We don't find such a lashon like that. We would think Mishnechnas Tishrei Marbe B'Simcha. Chag HaSukkos, Ma'aseh V'Chaseinu. It's not just simcha, it's marbin b'simcha. So what does it have to do with already Mishnechnas Adar marbin b'simcha? A few other questions on the Megillah, something to think about as we journey forward amidst Hashem. The demise of Haman is with an eitz. What's the secret of the eitz of Haman? And Dafka Yedei Charvoina. Charvoina Zechul HaTov. What's the significance of that? That he's the one who presents before the Melech to hang Haman on this tree, which he made for Mordechai. The inyan lebesumei ad lo yada bein or Haman leborach Mordechai. What is that all about? And then the Ariyah Kodesh mentions a twist in this, and this is something very profound. The Ariyah Kodesh explains al pi Kabbalah the inyan, not to go into that chelik of the davar, that a person in drinking ad lo yada should come to a place that he makes a ta'ut, he makes a mistake, and instead of saying Baruch Mordechai, he says Baruch Haman. Sounds blasphemous. But the Rebbe has a way of explaining this, al pi Kabbalah, to be maitzid in itzaitzin from Haman, and it has to be done dafka ad shelo yada. But that a person should make the mistake to say, in a state of ad lo yada, Baruch Haman. So how can we explain that, at least al pi pnimius, without the Kabbalah shabai? B'derech avoda. What can we take from that? Soid. So let's begin with this. The pasuk says, "Vayomer Chavayna hin ha'etz gavoya chamisha mama Asher asa Haman leMordechai, Asher diber toiv al hamelech. Mordechai is called the one who spoke good about the king. I think we all know the story. Was there anything that Mordechai said which was good about the king? He saved his life. He may have said, Big Sam Vasaresh, they're up to something, and because of that, there was a Yeshua, the king was saved. But what does it mean, Asher Diber Toiv El HaMelech? What exactly is the Dvar Toiv that he said on the king? So listen to the words of the Zohar Kodesh. There's a lot to take from the Zohar. We're going to focus on one aspect. But the Zohar says, I'm paraphrasing, but we're going to read the words in a moment. You know, there's Taryag mitzvahs in the Torah. And sometimes a person looks at Taryag mitzvahs and he asks himself, and we find this in the Gemara, Maseches Brachos, what is the mitzvah which speaks most to me? Sometimes a person just feels a certain kesher, certain hidurim that he has, and he's very excited about that mitzvah every day, or maybe just once a year. Sometimes the mitzvah which he has the biggest minias in is the mitzvah which is really his chalik. So the Zohar wonders, in passing, what is Hashem's mitzvah in the Taryag mitzvahs? Very interesting question. What is Hashem's mitzvah? Listen to what the Zohar says. Va'avas Hashem, the love of Hashem, ihi malchus klila mikol svirim. It's the sphere of malchus, which has nothing of its own, which is able to incorporate all the spheres. Ve'iha pikuda the kuchabihu. This is the mitzvah of Hashem. Mikol taryag pikudin. Out of all the taryag mitzvahs in Torah, the mitzvahs Hashem, like we say, mitzvahs Hashem, he bi'ira, bara, mi'ira sinayim. It's called mitzvahs Hashem. Ihi pikuda the kuchabihu, bakol taryag pikudin. And that's something which I'm sure the Rav will take you places with future times to explore what that means. The mitzvah of Hashem, the kol taryag mitzvahs, the mitzvah of avos Hashem. But this is what we're going to focus on. Ubegina itmar, and of this the pasuk says, Madua ato oivers mitzvahs hamelach. Why do you transgress the mitzvah of the king? Sometimes it sends like shivers down my spine to hear that. Madua ato oivers mitzvahs hamelach. In fact, once, I think it was the Abbas Yisrael from Vishnitz, maybe the Mechem, was once sitting at a Purim Tish, and he just exploded in Bechi. He was crying, and they said, Rebbe, what happened in the middle of the Purim Suda? He said, I just came into my head, Madua ato oivers mitzvahs hamelach. I'm thinking to myself, how often do I transgress in my oiver in the mitzvahs Hashem? He just couldn't control himself. Madua ato oivers mitzvahs hamelach.
What does that mean, mitzvahs Hashem?
That it's the mitzvah of Hashem. This is the mitzvah which is most precious to Hashem, as if like the whole world was created for that. Va'ata Yisrael Mashem Elokech Hashem Akim Liyira Ula'ava Yisrael Uladavka Boy. It has to do with Tachlis. The Tachlis of all the mitzvahs. It has to be, because we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokech Hashem Echad, and every day, 3 times a day. V'ahavtas Hashem Elokecha, even more than 3 times a day, 4 times a day. V'ahavtas Hashem Elokecha. It's the Taitzah of Shema Yisrael. Maybe we'll touch upon it momentarily. Ve'ihi binyan alma, and this is what builds the world. That's the lashon Zohar Kodesh. Ad kan linyanenu. Madua ato oivers mitzvahs hamelach. Now we know that Haman and the Nachash go hand in hand. It's throughout all the Sfarim Makdoshim. And we find about Haman that the Gemara tells us, "Less man to yoda lishna bisha Haman." There was nobody who knew lashon hara like Haman. And this goes in line exactly with the Nachash, because when the Nachash was fooling Adam and Chava into eating from the Eitz Hadas, as if everything was okay, he says, "If you eat from this tree, v'yisim kelakim, you're going to be like Hashem." What does that mean? So Rashi quotes the Medrash. Ki yodei alekim b'yoyim machalchem imenu. Moist tamus. That you know that's what the pasuk says. That Hashem knows that if you eat from this tree, you're going to die. Kol umen somas b'rei u'mnusay. Every single craftsman has a hatred for his competitor. Min ha'etz achal ubara es ha'olam. Hashem ate from this tree and He created the world. It's pretty serious lashon hara. The first lashon hara was said about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Nachash said Hashem ate from the tree, created the world. With this, we can understand in a little bit what the avoid of Mordechai was. Because if the lashon hara, the davar ra, which Haman said about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is that he took a shot at the Achdus Hashem, as if the eighth was Kadmain, the eighth preceded HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he ate from this tree and he created everything. That was the lashon hara. So he speaks the davar ra on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the umat zeh, which is Mordechai, we can explain a little bit Asher diber toiv elo melech. Because we all know, the Medrash tells us that anytime the Megillah says the word melech, it's referring to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, melech machayim lachem. It doesn't say here, ha-melech ha-chashverish. And like the Zohar learned, Madua ato evres mitzvos ha-melech is referring to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Madua ato evres mitzvos ha-melech. So let's try to understand a little bit more. What does it mean, now that we see that Haman, the Nachash, speaks this lashon hara against HaKadosh Baruch Hu, les man du'ad l'shabisha ka-Haman. So what is the davar toiv? What is the greatest, sweetest, most perfect thing we could say about HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And we know the Gemara tells us that Haman was deeply entrenched in the inyan of nichush and kishuf, and he built an empire within the empire of Achashverosh through all that. But the Gemara tells us that the secret in Sanhedrin Daf Samchan Amud Beis, that the secret against kshafim, which is machish pamaya shamala, is what? Rabbi Chanina, ein oid milvado. There is nothing else other than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is certainly the greatest shavach which you could say about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is that there is ein oid milvado. There is nothing else other than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ato haris ladas kashem helakim ein oid milvado. If we take this concept of ein milvado and we try to apply it and to bring it into our avodah, many things change because of that. And this is a very big sugya, we'll try to be makatze. Normally we look at the avodah every single day, Torah Tefillah v'chesed and avodas Hashem, as being like a melchama from the Taiv against the Ra. But Ein Milvado says, really, it's not really a melchama at all. From a certain place of truth, everything is just a HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he uses the Ra as a tool to bring out the Kedusha, to be Megado Shmoy Ba'olam. For example, when the Malach was fighting against Yaakov Avinu, and we know that Malach is the Sarah Shel Esav. So as soon as Yaakov defeated the Sarah Shel Esav, the Sarah Shel Esav says, Higi Zmani, now it's my time to sing Shira. And the Tzaddikim explain, what is the Shira of the Sarah Shel Esav have to do with the victory of Yaakov? Yaakov should be singing Shira, not the Malach. Why is the Malach singing Shira? So the Tzaddikim all explain, because this Malach, the Sarah Shel Esav, it was sent to make Milchama against Yaakov, not to defeat Yaakov, but to be defeated by Yaakov. There's nothing more that the Ra wants, that the Toiv should be Menatseach against the Ra. That's its tafkid. Its tafkid is not to defeat the Toiv, but to be defeated by the Toiv. And when it is defeated by the Toiv and it fulfills its purpose, it sings Shira. It's a very big inyan of what Shira is all about. The Nitzuach of the Toiv against the Ra, that victory, is the Shira which emerges even from the place where Kimat there's no Shira. This is the secret of the Kol de Mamadaka. Then in the depths of the silence, there's still a song. Happens to be Kol de Mamadaka is Gematria Purim. With that Yesod in place, let's try to understand the questions which we have said before. And there's so much to be said about how our perception and our hashkafa will change when we take Ein Milvado and when we put it in our lives and try to make applications, understanding that everything is a HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and even in that place which claims to be Oid is really Ein Oid. So let's go back and try to answer our questions. The mitzvah of drinking on Purim. Says the Ari HaKadosh, drink till a state until which you come to say, bitos, yes, Baruch Haman. But the pshat is, Rabbi Yisai, is that even from within the greatest darkness, there's a bracha. It's nignas, and we don't understand it. And if you think that you do, you can't say Baruch Haman. You can only say Baruch Haman from a place of, I don't know anything. I don't even know the ABCs. That which I thought that Mordechai was Ta'iv and Haman was Arar, even that is a nace. It comes from a seichel and adas, which even the most pasha things, which I take for granted, are mamish soidis amukim anoy. And when a person comes to that place where he admits and he has the achna to say, I don't know, then Hashem bestows upon him a higher das, a higher seichel, where he can even understand and even see, maybe just for an hour, maybe just for a few minutes on Purim, the hasaga of what it means, Baruch Haman. That even in that place, where the Ra, that even Malach Ra Yana Ame, that there should emerge a bracha from that place. Because from the perspective of Eino and Milvado, you're not an Oid, you play a very important part of this Shira. You're leading the orchestra. That's the secret of Baruch Haman. But the only one who can introduce that, and this is what's called Gili Eliyahu. And we think of Gili Eliyahu as being, a person has a vision, in his sleep maybe, or in Har Bayis, where he sees the face of Eliyahu Hanavi, and that's not Gili Eliyahu, says the visioner. The visioner says, if you're zeichet to have the das that Kodesh Baruch Hu is Soivet Kol Almin, B'Malek Kol Almin, and B'Las Asar Panamine, that's called Gili Eliyahu. That's what the visioner says. Don't kid yourself. Gili Eliyahu means to have the das. The person has to be an ish pnimi. It doesn't mean to see the face of Eliyahu. You want to be connected to the pnimis of Eliyahu. The one who made the Baal say, Hashem hu Elokim, Hashem hu Elokim, ve'ein Milvado, that's the das of Eliyahu. So when we go back to Haman Harasha, and to the Eitz Kaveh Chamishim Amo, which has to do a lot with this Indian of Shar Chamishim, Charvoin is Eliyahu Hanavi. Charvoin is Eliyahu Hanavi. He's the only one who can say what? Mordechai asher diber toiv al HaMelech. That Haman should be hung on that tree, which we had said before. This is the tree that the Nachash had said about it, that Hashem made from the tree and created the world. The Gemara says, Haman min Torah min ayin. Where do we know Haman from? Hamina eitz. Asher tzivisicha levilti achalta mimenu achalta. It's that tree. It's that lashon hara. It's that lashon hara. But Eliyahu Hanavi comes and he's able to be mesak in all the lashon haras of the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Hashem hu Elokim, Hashem Elokim, ein oid milvadoi. That's the das of Eliyahu Hanavi. That's Charvaina, who's able to put an end to this kfira, to this lashon hara of Haman. And he could say, Mordechai asher diber toiv al HaMelech. So the greatest good you could say about the Kodesh Baruch Hu is what? Ein oid milvadoi. Come back to that in a moment. But this is the secret of Mishnechas Adar Marpim B'Simcha. The Sfarim all say that Adar is Aleph Dar. That Alufa Shalom HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he comes into the scroll. But what's the secret of Aleph? So the Sfarim HaKadoshim explain, really it's the Zohar, that if you take a look at an Aleph, it's a Yud on top, and a Yud on the bottom, and then the Vav in the middle, which creates the higher reality, which is Einon Milvado, and brings it into this lower world. It's a Dor Batachtoinim. If we understand this Hashkafa, this Emes, this Achdus of Hashem of Einon Milvado, then Bevadai Marbim B'Simcha. That's what the Medrash learns. Ki simachtani Hashem b'falacha. We say every Friday night. Mizmor shir Yom HaShabbos. Ki simachtani Hashem b'falacha. So the Medrash says, from what do I have simcha? Ki simachti Hashem b'falacha. So the Medrash says, it's mechilta Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. You have to go back to the beginning of the Mizmor. Ve'amunascha b'leilos. That's why ki simachtani Hashem b'falacha. Even in the greatest darkness, when there's a deep emunah, a person can find simcha. Because there's two levels of emunah, you know. There's regular emunah, and there's what's called Rabba emunah secha. Rabba emunah secha means not just an emunah of a katnus of Hashem Zachtas, but a very big, godless understanding of Hashem Zachtas, of Einon Milvadai. And such an emunah, which is called Rabba emunah secha, and can create such a simcha, which is called Marbim B'Simcha. So Mishneh Nichnas Adar, when that Aleph, which is Nichnas, and it comes into our reality, and that's the place where the nace of Purim all came from. That das of Mordechai, of Einon Milvadai, This is what makes a Purim spiel. It's that das of the tzaddik, which each and every one of us are hoping to, through kesher to tzaddikim, learning the Torahs of tzaddikim. We should be zeichet to that das. The visioner said, in a moment what the visioner said, but just a few gematrias to put it together. We had said before, Mordechai Asher did b'toiv al hamelech. What's the greatest toiv you could say about the king? What's the greatest toiv you could say about the king? That he's Eino Avadai. Diber toiv is gematria Eino Avadai. 223. Mordechai Asher diber toiv al hamelech. The greatest good you could say about the Rebbeinu Shalom is Eino Avadai. And that's why Eliyahu says, how are we going to put Haman on this tree? You know why? Because Mordechai is Eino Avadai. If you could put Haman on that tree because he believes in, you're untouchable. Mamish untouchable. That even Haman has a place, like we said, in this harmony, in this orchestra. You could say Baruch Haman too. If you take Ein Ein Milvado and you make a milui out of it, you know what a milui is? If you take a letter, and every letter spells out a word. The Bnei Yisrael is the only language in the world where even letters make words, right? You don't spell out A or B or C, right? But you could take an aleph and spell it out, aleph lamed pei. So if you were to take Ein Ein Milvado and to spell it out b'milui, but the aleph lamed pei, yud vav dalid, nun vav nun, v'chula v'chula, is gematria, madua ata oiver es mitzvahs hamelech. That's gematria. Madua ata oiver es mitzvahs hamelech. That's what it comes out to. You know why Mordechai looked everybody in the face and he says, you know why I don't bow down? Ein Milvado. That's why I don't bow down. But it's b'milui Ein Milvado. It's a shleimistic of Ein Milvado. There's many madrigas of Ein Milvado. Every day we say Shema again and again because what we knew Ein Milvado yesterday is not the same day as it was this morning. It's going to be tonight or it's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be deeper understanding of Ein Milvado. But that comes from Eliyahu Novi because Eliyahu b'milui is gematria Ein Milvado. I'll just end with this word from the visioner. The visioner said like this. Megillah talks about Parashas Gedulas Mordechai. What's Parashas Gedulas Mordechai? What is the godless of Mordechai Tzaddik? After all is said and done, what was the godless? Says the visionary. And this is Mamash Lishitaso to what he had said before. He was sitting at the Purim Tish, and this was like a barak which just came down into him, and he said, Shteit, it says about Mordechai, when Haman passed by, V'loi kam v'loi za mimenu. He didn't get up and he didn't flinch. This is what the visionary said. V'loi kam, I understand why he didn't get up. I think there are many tzaddikim who wouldn't get up. V'loi za mimenu, that he didn't even shudder. That's Gedulas Mordechai. That means to say that it was so real to him, the musag of Ein Milvado. He's not looking at a Haman who's threatening to harm him. This is the Rebbeinu Shalom speaking to him. And he's saying to Mordechai, Madua at Oivers mitzvahs hamelech, and he says, I'm not going to be Oiver anymore. He didn't hear people speaking to him. He didn't see a Haman. And he made a shira out of Haman. You know, we sing the Mis of Haman as a shira. Ibud Rishoyim Rina. It's a shira. And in fact, if you take a look, how many people were killed on that day? 500 people. Chamesh miyos ish, and also the 10 men of Haman, 10 sons of Haman. So what's 500 plus 10? 510. Gematria? That would have been too good. That would have been too good. It's Gematria shir. Shir. But even from that place where there would be no song, Haman did everything in his power to wipe away every shiras David that there is. But the Ma'aseh HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked at Haman and he said, you're going to be part of the symphony. And he made a shir out of him. Made a shir out of him. We should be zeichet to what we had said, Malach ha'la'aretz kavayit, Malach ha'zdeyas Hashem, and to sing shir ha'stabit with the Beis HaMikdash. May heaven mean amen.
Amen. Amen. Wow. Let's sing a shir as David. Let's sing a...
Did I
out from these words. So much shir, so much song, so much Yisraelis. We have to. I'm going to sing some of the words we just davened. V'memale kol alamin, v'soivev kol alamin, umi baladecha ein shum metzius klal. Memale kol alamin, v'sovem kol alamin, umi baladecha ein shum metzius klal. Memale kol Sovev kol alamin, umi baladecha ein shum metzius klal. V'male kol alamin, v'sovev kol baladecha ein shum metzius klal. Lord, you fill all worlds and surround all worlds. Why is the harmony such whispering? Yeah, you have sushi in your system, let's go. And Lord, without you, there is no world at all. Di-di-da-da-da-dam, aye, da-da-da. Di-di-da-da-da-dam, aye, da-di-da-aye. Da 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 Ain't sure we mentioned before, L'chaim Tov Moshav. We mentioned before tonight, all Leilui Nishmas. Leilui Nishmas. We said the name before. Yisrael ben Chaim Shlomo's Yortzeit is tonight.
The whole thing is not because of my father. The whole thing is, and Baruch Hashem, it's my father's Yortzeit also.
The whole thing of tonight is Leilui Nishmas Your Abba. I'm a Kohen.
I stand corrected.
At a certain point, you pull the kahuna card.
The Rav card works also.
The Rav card usually doesn't work.
It works. It's not going to get you.
The kahuna card. You want to be gebenched tomorrow, so that's all right. But can you share with us, please, something about your Abba, and just Chevra, just so we understand, we have the privilege of reading out of the Torah. We're going to be reading, learning out of tomorrow morning, Be'ez Hashem, for quite a while already. I don't know how long already, more or less, like probably 6-7 months.
Yeah, it came just before Rosh Chodesh.
Right. So already since Elul. So, B'chavod, my dear Chaver Reb Moshe Siderbaum, Yehuda's uncle, and a Chaver Ne'eman Shalanu.
So, it was very hard. My father, Shalom, went through a time when it didn't seem at all that Kol Almin was there, and certainly not so with Kol Almin. He was a Nitzol Ashur. I went through Auschwitz, as did my mother, Leah Shalom. There are two stories that I want to share. One, during that Tkufa, that terrible Tkufa, and one afterwards. So during that terrible Tkufa, my father's Hebrew name is Yisrael, and he went all of his life in the secular world by the name Lawrence, or it was Lawrence. He was in the car on his way to Auschwitz with his father, Allah Shalom, Chaim Shlomo ben Moshe Yaakov, so Moshe is my name. And my grandfather was very, very weak. And there was a chaver who had gone to Cheder with my father, as Leibel Bornstein, and who was a Heise Gera Chassid. And Yonason Bornstein, his son, is one of the main Meshartim of the Gera Rebbe Shlita. And you can all tell that I look exactly like the Gera Chassid. The car was very tight. So what they were doing, it's my understanding this was one of the few cattle cars, where the top was open. So what they did is when somebody was nifter, when somebody was died in the car, they just threw him out in order to make more room. And the spaces along the walls were very important because people could lean up, and also in the corners. So my father, Lava Shalom, and his friend and somebody else had managed to wedge my grandfather in the corner, in a corner, which was one of 4 prize locations in that car. And the crowd around them were seeing that my grandfather was starting to become very weak, and they're trying to push to throw him out. So there was a chok that if you raised your head above the wall height of the car, of the cattle car, they shot. They had machine guns everywhere. And my father knew that it was snowing, and if you didn't get him some water, he was not going to make it. My father, when the car stopped in a certain station, don't know where, and my father stuck his head out and screamed in German, Herr Kommandant, which was like one of the Nazi officers. Before anybody could shoot, just screamed at him, my father's dying, I need water. So that was, it was unheard of because he got shot, he died. And for some reason, the officer stopped anybody from shooting, and my father was able to climb out. It's not clear exactly what happened. He told the story that there was slight variations, but he was able to get water for my grandfather. And they survived. And my grandfather subsequently was the sandik at my bris, and then 2 weeks later he died of kidney disease. Wow. But Baruch Hashem, he survived. And my father, Lava Shalom, he went through unbelievable things in order to save his father's life. The Kibbutz Av. He saved his life. I know at least of 3 stories where he directly saved his life. So that was the story during that Zman. And afterwards, there was then when he got to this officer said, what is your name? And my father he said, it's Yisrael. He said, no, with a name like Yisrael, you're not going to survive. This Nazi had a little bit of Rahmanis. It's not clear what happened. With the name of Yisrael, you're not going to survive. From now on, you're going to call yourself Lorenz, and you're going to say that it's true that you had a Jewish mother, but you had a German father. And my father was as blonde and blue-eyed as they came, and so he survived. That way, he said, whenever they asked him, what's your name? Lorenz. Well, you have a Jewish mother? Yes. Father? No. So I don't quite know exactly, but listen, he was alive. I'm here. So that was during the war, and he went. His passport said Lorenz Zierbaum, and all his documents said Lorenz until he started making Aliyah. The process just never quite worked out. Then he went back to Israel, and certainly the Ger Rebbes didn't call him Lorenz, called him Israel. So that was one story. The other story was that after the war, there was an American officer who liked my father very much because he was a hustler. And he wanted to take him back to the States, not here, to the States with him, and I'll adopt you, and you'll become my son, and when I die, you will have everything. He was childless, this officer, and my father said, but I have my own father, can I bring him? No, you can't bring him, so they stayed in the DP camps, and actually maybe 6 months, a year later, this officer was nifter, he died, and my father would have had everything, but he had everything in a very different way from Rivan Shalom. So they were in Germany, and they had a scrap metal and paper business. In northern Germany, they couldn't get out, and also found my mother and got married and whatever. They couldn't get out. Tried to make Aliyah 3 times. They just got in the way once. So he had a business, and they needed a loan. They needed a loan. So my uncle was also alive, and they were in partners. Then they needed a loan. They went to the bank and said, we need a loan. So what's your collateral? Well, here's the scrap metal and the paper. Well, that's not very useful. He said, no, we're very, very good businessmen. We need a loan. We have to have a loan. They said, oh, just get out. So my father said, and he had planned this with my uncle before, he said, okay, you know what? We'll show you how smart we are, and then you'll give us the money. We're going to sit here now for an hour, however long you want. We're going to write down numbers. We're going to name a number, say a number, say a number, say a number, and you can write down all the numbers. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll say exactly the same numbers for however long you want. And then will you give us a loan? He said, the loan officer said, there's no way you can do this. It's a deal. So they sat there for an hour. I don't know how long it was, an hour, 2 hours, and my uncle was saying numbers, and he was writing down big numbers, small numbers. Came back the next day, same numbers. And like after half an hour, the officer said, okay, here's your loan. So what happened? My uncle, Allah Shalom, it was my father's idea, but my uncle was the one who executed against this. My uncle, Allah Shalom, knew all of Tillim by heart, and he was a Baki in Gematrios. Ashrei is the first number. Yoshrei is the second number. Veisecha is the third number. Od is the fourth number. Hallelujah. And he just started going from the beginning of Tillim, and he just went through Tillim. And so that was a little bit of nitzachon over those guys. Wow. So those are 2 stories of my father, about my father, my uncle, my family. Father should have an aliyah in Shamayim. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. This is beautiful, Amen. And I appreciate it. We appreciate it. It's gewaltig. Amen.
I forgot, I'm telling you, this is crazy, I forgot that we're related until you started talking.
Yeah.
We're related, I'm related to your Abba, Dafka, right? This is to the Tzeder Bam.
Right, yeah.
Right, because
So how did you work this out?
I was one time Zooming with you, we were video chatting,
Family tree,
and you showed me, I saw in your living room, in your dining room, the family tree.
Family tree.
I was like, wait a second, and we started going up, till my family's Washaviak, my mother's side, and they both come directly from Chidush Yarim, from Ger. That's nuts, but this is even more nuttier. Last time I pulled this off the shelf was probably like 8 months ago. The Chidush Yarim, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I brought it here today because I remember there's a vort in there's a Torah that he says here in Chodesh Adar that we learned many years ago over here. But this is just Leilu Nishmas Yir Abba and all of my Zedas too. Listen to we learned this a few years ago. A very, very special Torah. Obviously, in today's day and age, when you say the word Adar, you go to Purim. But Adar used to be huge even before the story of Purim. The month of Adar was already huge before the story of Purim. What was so special about the story of Purim, about Adar before Purim? So I could find it. He says something so special. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to read inside. This is such special words. B'chol Chodesh Adar nisorer lemala tshuka leYisrael. Something inside wakes up every Adar. Something inside of us wakes up, some passion, some renewed passion. And well, now we're bichlal after Rav Yeshua's words. I don't have to say anything, but especially the tshuka, this Einod Milvado tshuka that now Be'ez Hashem is burning. Hopefully in each and every one of us. This is always in Chodesh Adar, this is mitzorer. And then he goes into the famous mashal, Zeh Perush Shem Adar Milashon Dira Aleph Dar. These are Midrash Truma Mashal and Melech She'amar Lechasna Tova Zu Asali B'chol Makom She'atem Holchem Kiton Echad Asali V'Adur Etzlechem. The famous mashal about a king who told his son-in-law, listen, wherever you're going to marry my daughter, wherever you go, prepare a special place for me with you, wherever you go, so I can come in and be there with you. So now he comes to what was happening in the month of Adar, even before the story of Purim. B'terem sheban Nisan chodesh shel geula, nisorer chodesh mikodem also tshuka shehaya az Terem Gmar HaMishkan. Forget about Pesach for a second. Aleph Nisan. Oh, what a huge day. I guess in more modern times it's known more because of the Rebbe's birthday, because of Rabbi Nachman's birthday. But something else happened way before Rabbi Nachman was born on that day, and that was the siyum of the Mishkan, right? Hakamas HaMishkan. So he says, a month before that even happens, that we know in a month from tomorrow night is the Hakamas HaMishkan. Already then, I smell that passion that's going to be. Nisorer az, we called him also tshuka shehaya az terem gmar HaMishkan. Uvechein tzarich ish Yisrael lisorer belibo tshuka bo'eres lisnadev al kol atzmo v'chayusa v'hona l'Hashem Yisbarach. So each Yid has to wake up in his heart a burning passion to be menadev, to offer his whole being, his life force, and his fortune to Hashem. Every part of us. Sheishtokek me'od, that he'll long very much, shenizke lavod lefanav yisbarach shmo, b'chol lev v'nefesh yisnadev. And every part of us is basically showing up already a month before Vahi b'yom chalas Moshe HaMishkan, and it's saying, I'm not waiting till Hakamas HaMishkan when I'm obviously going to feel so high because Nisim and Niflo is happening in front of me. That passion's already a month before Shloshim Yom. Now he ends off here saying so beautifully, what are we told to be giving? A shekel. We just learned about the Mach, right? We just read it. We'll learn it again in a few weeks. He says, shekel is Rashi Tevos, shiftecha, kumecha, and lechtecha. When you're sitting down, when you get up, when you walk. Liskasher bechol bo yisbarach, through a shekel, shiftecha, kumecha, and lechtecha, the Chidush Harim says. So to me, that passion for something, when you know that it's about to come, that itself could drive a person for his orus way before the thing itself happens. That's why there's so many Yidden today that are so passionately burning for Bias Gold Tzedek, because they know it's going to happen. They know it's going to happen. So the Yisraelus already comes before. We know people, Hashem, we hear Divrei Elokim Chaim like this because it's coming from a mayan of a consciousness of knows that it's going to happen. So Rosh Chodesh Adar, even before the story of Purim, each Yidla felt, in a month from now, there's going to be a Dira B'Tachtainim. There's actually going to be a place where all this Ein Od Milvado has a place to dwell, has a place to reside. So I'm just like looking around the room and I'm saying thank you to Hashem that we got to drink from this fountain tonight. And I'm so excited because I know that in just a few weeks from now, I know we're all going to be, in places that we're dreaming of, and that the dreams do come true, and that the fact that it's happening here in Eretz Yisrael, Shma'una be'Efrasa, Zdei Yar, that it's happening here, that this passion's being awakened, and it's happening here. It just puts so much of this into context and the schus of the Chidush Harim, this Vasamis of the Imriam, the Pnei Menachem, the Leiv Simcha, all the Beis Yisrael, all of them, all the tzaddikim in that line that came, really, it came from Reb Simcha ben Reb Shescha, that line that's originated there. All those tzaddikim and all those Yidden who lived in a world of Ein Od Milvado, already now, Rosh Chodesh Adar, it explains the awakening that's going on in the heart. That we know by Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Chalila, if it takes that long, Obi Vayhi B'Yom Chalos Ribono Shleilam Esagolos. And together with the Nachal Noveh, and whose birthday, who came into the world that day, and all the tzaddikim and tzaddikot who said, it's not that it's worth believing in it, it's that Ein Od Milvado, there is no other mitzias other than believing in it. We should all be al kanfei nesharim wherever we are in the world, and go right to the place, b'makom asher yiroyes pnei Hashem elokecha, b'makom asher yivcha. Okay, we'll sing one more strong niggun. I don't want to keep the Rav Yehoshua on you for last few minutes in Yerushalayim. But we thank you so much for being with us.
Tremendous chos. Thank you.
Thank you so much. First of, we could already cover for the next sivuv. Be'ez Hashem. Yehuda Leib, you're on it. Okay. All right. This is a Purim niggun. This is one of my Purim niggunim. Shoishanas Yaakov Tzahalav Esamecha Vidoi Sam Yachad Chayles Mordechai Shoishanas Yaakov Tzahalav Esamecha Vidoi Sam Yachad Chayles Mordechai Aichu Asal Vayisal Netzah Nesik Vasal V'chol Avachad Aichu Shkoyach, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Rav Rubenstein. Thank you so much. Shkoyach, everybody. Shkoyach. Thank you.
Anyone interested in adopting Mariv, Arvid? Always.
They just did a. If there's enough, the simcha b'chol, yeah. Good job.